Body, we shortened the timer there just because we're running a little bit behind this play day. We want to get these things moving along. You know, everybody's got stuff to do. The players have lives to get to, so we don't want to delay them for too long. But we're getting a little bit back on schedule. Those of you just tuning in, we are into match number 3 of the night. Let's have a look at tonight's schedule. While I say that, and by the way, thank you so much for tuning in tonight for our CCS R6W. I'm Ty Tangles. Joining me tonight, Mr. Azaraki. And here's your schedule right here. Disrupt Gaming, Powerhouse, Mischief. Coming up next, followed by Axios Esports taking on Queen Yolamid. So 2 matches left for the night. We also have an off-stream match, which you can find the VOD on YouTube within a couple of days, thanks to our unbelievably awesome production staff and the efforts of our head of production, Mr. Blonde Bond. Also, a couple of shout-outs tonight to our staff working with us. Our observer for the evening, Mr. Ted Meister, and our co-producer, Mr. DJ Dextros. We thank you all for being here tonight. And, of course, you out there in the Twitchverse chat, we thank you for being here as well. Make sure you slap that follow button if you haven't already. But let's get, I guess, a little bit further in towards what we're looking at now, Mr. Azaraki, and that's our third matchup of the night. Disrupt Gaming taking on Powerhouse Mischief. And if you will do us the favor of reading us the starting lineup tonight for Disrupt Gaming.
Tied for second, Disrupt is going to be sporting Maddox, Dope Girl, Fry Queen, Doja Wolf, and C Millionaire.
Chameleonaire, if you will. And yes, indeed, let's talk about DG for a second. Had a very short interview with the one, the only Maddox, and why I say that is because Maddox has the only 2 aces in CCS R6W North America. The only ace, period. And she's got 2 of them thus far, just absolutely doing fantastic. She also dropped a 21-kill game that did not go into overtime, if you can believe it. So doing absolutely massive things for Disrupt Gaming, but not to discount the rest of the team. As a matter of fact, I had the opportunity to interview Maddox, and I said, hey, listen. I said, you know, you're the only player with 2 aces. You know, tell me a little bit more about it. And she, very humbly, I might add, said, listen, the ace that I got was really a team's ace. She said that, you know, the ace doesn't happen without the work of all of her teammates. In the scenario where she got an ace with Castle on Cafe, she said the Clash was doing a lot of work, just absolutely distracting the heck out of the attackers, and multiple people were on cams and getting her intel and giving her everything that she needed. So all she had to do was point and click. And I thought that was very teamy of her to describe it in that way, and I tend to agree with her. I mean, when you get an ace, you really, unfortunately, as a spectator, you don't get to see kind of the part that the rest of the team played in it. So, good on her for recognizing that, and that's probably why they found so much success so far in R6W. Like Mr. Azaraki mentioned, they are in second place, but that's enough about them. Let's talk about Powerhouse Mischief and their starting lineup, Matt.
Yep, we're going to see Lissa, Lady Dragon Slayer, Maddie, Never, and Todd.
Yes, Todd is, I believe, the correct pronunciation. Todd, the IGL of the team.
It's been like 6 weeks, but I remembered the Lissa.
Yeah, the Lissa versus Lysa, which confuses me, because I said Lysa first of all. And then what she did was she went in game and changed her Uplay to Liesuh. Like the phonetic Lysa. So now, even though I know it's Alyssa, like short for Alyssa, right? Now I look at that in the kill feed and I can't help but to say Lysa, and I'm confused as to her feelings about that. So I'm just gonna do me. But anyway, I got to speak to Lissa, and she said that, you know, Powerhouse, who's currently sitting in 10th place right now, basically they've had a lot of issues on the team, and not like they haven't been doing good or anything. In their personal lives. What I heard was a couple of people lost some loved ones, which is extremely unfortunate. You know, they picked up Maddie a few weeks ago, which was a big boost in morale for the team. And I have to say, hats off to Powerhouse for, you know, despite the setbacks that they had. I think one person had like a complete change in work. Yeah, sick. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Somebody had bronchitis on the team. Now that I remember her saying that. And then 2 people had somebody in their family pass away. So, you know, just really for them to like still be in it and their spirits high, the addition of Maddie, all of that is a true testament to like the willpower of these players. So, you know, good on them for sticking it out, and you know, that shows a lot of heart. And, of course, our condolences to those who had lost loved ones for Powerhouse. But here they are today, ready to play. Their starting lineup now, their new starting lineup, ready to go. And, yeah, that's about it for these two lineups. Let's go ahead and have a look at the map bands. Let me make sure before I switch over to that it is set up. And it is indeed big shout out again to Mr. DJ Dexter. So we'll look at those map bands as they play out for us here. And Clubhouse, Mr. Azaraki, what do you think?
You know, I will say that if we'd see like 80% Clubhouse, it'll still be better for me than seeing 80% Oregon. So I will still prefer that any day
What?
of the
All
week.
right. Here's the thing: is I'm a big Oregon fan. Okay, I think Oregon is like the best esports map that Siege has, and I think why I got pulled out of rotation is because it was getting set. What? You know, I think Oregon's a great esports map. I don't see any flaws with Oregon. But that being said, Clubhouse is off the board. We're down at Cafe Villa, and we will actually see Villa, ladies and gentlemen.
That's
and
new. Yeah.
So not only is that new, but I think that we haven't seen Villa at all in CCS R6W in North America yet in the entire season. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, of course, very quickly. So chat, if I'm wrong, let me know. Either way, Villa is going to be the map that we are going into. So let's have a look. It looks like we got 10 people in. So when the R's come out, we will go ahead and get this puppy started. And predictions. I mean, we got number 2 taking on number 10. So there's that. But Powerhouse seems to be getting back into it. They were able to find success against the number 2 team at the time, Queen YOLO mid, earlier in the season. So Powerhouse, I mean, kind of able to pull things out from behind their back that you know, it would be unexpected based on rankings. Do you count them out, Azaraki, as we get started here into the operator bands?
No, I don't count them out. They've, like you've mentioned, they've had a decent amount of setbacks in terms of the way the personal stuff has gone, and they've also gotten Maddie on the board as well. How do you know how long it was since they introduced Maddie to the roster?
So this will be the third week. The third week that they've had her.
So they did beat Queen YOLO mid with her then.
Correct.
All right, so that definitely bodes well for them as on top of that. So I'm definitely excited to see this match. I think I would still probably call it in favor of Disrupt if it were me, partially because the week I was here and able to cast, Disrupt played very well. So I sort of have that little bit of a of memory of them playing. So we'll see what happens when the game plays out.
Yes, indeed. So we'll see a Buck and a Jackal removed from play. And flipping over here to the defensive bans. What do you think about the Buck ban on Villa?
I think it's really strong, mostly because Villa, even way back when they first announced Villa, one of the main driving points that Ubisoft had for it was the fact that the entire floor between the first and second floor is breakable. It's all soft. So that's really good for heroes. Geez, I've been playing too many MOBAs lately, but for operators like Buck or Ash, or
we won't hold it
anyone who
against
has
you.
some sort of like vertical soft destruction. And so I think Buck's a very strong ban here, especially like honestly, even if you're playing first floor or second floor defense, Buck will just rain terror on anyone's positions. So really like seeing that band.
Yeah, a lot of very strong bans coming out for both of these, very in line with the meta style bans coming from both of these teams, as the first operating pick segment will be underway. Aviator Games will be the first picked site to defend here for Powerhouse as well. So here we go, underway into round number 1. And I want to talk about Maddox a little bit. We talk about Maddox a lot, typically because there's a lot to talk about. You know, obviously, as this being the first round, we haven't seen much from anybody yet. Thing about Disrupt Gaming is Maddox has been so consistently good in every match that we've seen her play in. I don't want to discount the rest of DG, but I'm curious what would happen if a team were able to shut her down, right? Because I don't think we've seen that scenario yet, right? Because she's always doing so much work for her squad. I'd like to see a couple of scenarios here for Powerhouse where the rest of the team, the rest of Disrupt, is forced to step up. And again, I am not by any stretch of the imagination stating that I think that it's going to be Powerhouse's favor to shut her down, although, well, maybe that is the case, to shut her down. I'm not saying that the rest of Disrupt isn't capable of doing it. I'd like to see the ball in their court. And we've seen it in a couple of rounds, of course, in the past. But that is just how dominating Maddox has been this season thus far. Powerhouse, meanwhile, I think now with Maddie on the team for a few weeks, hopefully has kind of found a very strong position within the team. She's a strong player. We all know that. That's why we kind of talked about it a lot when she joined Powerhouse. And Powerhouse knew about it too and taught it her as well that, you know, hey, she's joining the team and, you know, we put a lot of faith in her to get the job done, et cetera, et cetera. But now that she's hopefully been able to better congeal with the team as far as communications, rhythm, and strategy is concerned, I'd like to see if, you know, now they are more prepped to take on a team like Disrupt Gaming, because that YOLO Mid upset that they performed really showed, I think, a lot of people that Powerhouse were capable of pulling off just about anything at this point in time. So their 10th place standing right now might not necessarily be indicative of how they can close out the season.
And we see actually the first gridlock of the day here being brought out on Villa, and I love gridlock for this map. I think it's a very good pick because the way the roam game plays out on this map, any roamer moving anywhere is... Oh, speaking of, gridlock gets taken out right at the beginning of the round as Lady Dragonslayer manages to take her out with a headshot. But Maddox is going around trying to search for the kill, but... Ooh, looks like it is not going to work. And so I want to go back to that point as well. But the reason I like gridlock is because she is an operator that shuts down those roams in small hallways. And Villa is full of those. If any roamer wants to go anywhere, they have to go through one of these corridors. And you can just shut down rotations through 90 hallway. You can shut down rotations through stairs. There's so many ways that you can cut people off, and she's got a secondary shotgun for vertical destruction. But as I'm talking, Lady Dragonslayer is going to get 2 more and bring us down to a 1v5. So already Powerhouse, even though, like you said, they're 10th in the standings, they fire on all cylinders, taking 4 out without losing 1, and that's going to be 5. They just 5-0'd the first round against the second place team.
A flawless round for Powerhouse Mischief. And not only were they successful in shutting Maddox down, they were successful in shutting every single member of Disrupt Gaming down. And what a powerful start here for Powerhouse to kick things off on Villa. And like I said, I believe this is the very first Villa that we've seen. If not, it's the second maximum. Although I'm pretty confident in the fact that it's the first Villa we've seen. So that being said, there's no intel you can get on another team. So without the ability to do any sort of countering or anything like that, it's really all down to, you know, team versus team, gunplay versus gunplay, and preparation without any sort of countering coming into play versus preparation. And Powerhouse kicking things off in the best way possible. Can they continue the trend, though? Or will Disrupt get the rug back underneath them and make a push so early on? Remember, folks, this is a best of 7. Tie at 6. We go into a 3-round overtime, which somebody will eventually be declared the winner. Maximum of 15 rounds total. Round number 2 will begin right now.
Yep, and it looks like we'll be heading to a trophy defense. That's pretty standard. Both of the second floor sites on this map are generally sites that teams will play. The order between these two is variable, depends on the preference of the team that's running it. But generally you want to take these 2 sites before you go down to kitchen or the library. So nothing too surprising here. We have a Valkyrie, pretty good cam. I like that one. Watches the master bedroom, which is a very common spot for attackers to attack from. So overall, standard defense across the board for the side of Powerhouse. And it was a pretty similar situation to last round, too. They had a pretty standard defensive setup, but the way they came alive was from their aggressive roam play, and especially Lady Dragonslayer. I think she got 2 of the kills during the last round, and they were 2 very big kills, one happening right off the bat and one happening later in the round. But again, that aggression is something that can catch teams off guard, especially if teams have been practicing very specific and set strats, like we saw an example from Team
8K?
8K, yeah, 8K earlier today.
Absolutely. So a little bit of a stall out here from Disrupt, kind of holding angle, seeing if they can find somebody on the rotate. But doesn't look like anybody's being very fluid here for Powerhouse, and no need, of course, for them thus far. We'll see an air jab being deployed right by the main stairs to cut off any rotation from behind. as they progress onto site a little bit more. We'll see Maddie on the roam, just trying to find somebody, but I don't think any attackers and defenders are too close together just yet, and that's surprising, being the attackers just a room away from the actual site. A lot of upstairs control now for the attacking squad, looking very good for Disrupt. Powerhouse shows that they know what to do in a gunfight scenario thus far here on Villa, so really anybody's game, although there is a lot of time to play with, and the more time on the board, the more in favor you are for the attackers. Maddox, meanwhile, will get, I'm not sure exactly what happened. Oh, it looks like a yokai will come down on her, and I believe she was able to get it with the IQ. We'll see Maddie Elizabeth peek around the corner, and Chameleonaire will go down to the ground, and that's a big loss to Thatcher. She'll peek around the corner again. See Maddox on the IQ get a little bit of damage down. She'll find Doja. She is finding everybody, turning every which way, and winning those gunfights out. Great job on the roam. She'll rotate back to site. Job well done. 2 minutes gone. 2 operators found. And Maddie, seemingly unstoppable thus far for Powerhouse.
And so far, not a single player from Powerhouse has died yet. Not in this round, not in the last round. That's a huge start for them, and definitely not something that many people would have expected, and especially not Disrupt, as they are trying to attack with three people against 5. It's going to be a tough decision here as Maddox pushes in. Air jab goes off, but it doesn't look like anyone can capitalize off of that. It just gives off a little bit of intel. Now, the diffuser is being planted. There is a decent amount of control here for the attackers, but Maddox actually leaves the plant. So a C4 flies in the face of Dope Girl and Lysa. She manages to get Lysa. What? I see what you mean about her changing the name.
Maddie with a triple, though, and another back-to-back flawless round for Powerhouse. And let me just tell you right now, I don't want to discount Powerhouse's preparation work and stratting and all of that stuff, but right now, all of Powerhouse's success is based on in-the-moment judgment calls and excellent gunplay, right? Again, I don't want to discount any prep work that they've done and all that sort of stuff, but their game knowledge has carried them to 2 flawless rounds on defense. The jukes and the moves. I mean, we saw Maddie get out of 8. There was 3 attackers at 3 different angles she had to contend with. She killed one, backed Maddox off with the IQ off of another angle, getting a bullet onto her shoulder, doing some damage to her, flipped around and killed a third. All 3 different angles. I mean, that is something that it doesn't matter how much prep work you do on where to put reinforcements, that's not what happens due to that sort of practice. That is just game knowledge and gun skills. Good on her. Good on Lysa for picking up the other 2. And Powerhouse off to just about the best start you can be here on Villa.
Yeah, it's pretty much impossible to think of a better start. You've lost 0 people so far. You've dropped no frags. You flawless twice. I don't know how many more different ways I can say that, but it is an impressive feat, especially once again against a team that's tied for 2nd in the league after 6 weeks. So let's see how the rest of the games, or how the rest of the rounds work out, because they are forced down to one of these downstairs sites, which again is less preferable if you're a defender. And we'll see what they can do. So Lysa is already moving upstairs to try to play a little bit of a roam game, so is Maddie. So it seems like they're going to bring the aggression once again, take the fight to Disrupt, to make sure that Disrupt can't get the breathing room that they want, make sure they can't set up angles. And denying the vertical game, especially on these downstairs sites, is super important. So if they can keep the attackers at bay up here in the master bedroom, then it's huge. Even if they can just buy a minute and a half of time, that's already a great start.
Yeah, you know, I'm sure people will disagree with this sentiment, but when you have a couple of roamers playing the way that they're playing right now, this is kind of the opportunity to maybe throw strategy out the window and just let them get on the ops that they feel best with, because they're just doing everything right now. And you have a buffer. It may not be a huge buffer. It's a 2-round buffer to make a mistake and back up and say, okay, now it's time to slow down. But when the fast pace and this type of play is working, you know, that's a good chance to push and keep that momentum up. But meanwhile, Maddox, she will kick things into gear and get the first kill in 3 rounds for Disrupt Gaming. And she will shut down Lysa, who had a very successful multi-kill on the last round. It is now only Maddie on the roam, although she was the other half of the duo that shut down Disrupt so totally the prior round. She will still remain alive, and it looks like some utility now being deployed from the attackers. Maddox working on that floor that you were so gracious to tell us about, the entirety of the map being destructible. Maddox, she'll find her second of the round. So Maddox, we talked about her prior to the game. We talk about her every game, finally finding a little bit of success here. But Maddie Elizabeth, she will find Fry Queen on the roam. Lady Dragonslayer will throw a Nitro and damage herself, and that will be very disruptive for her, as Maddox will find the third of the round for herself. Finally, she will get shut down, so no ace for Maddox here today, never with the kill, and it is now a 2v3. So it is still anybody's game. 44 seconds left to play. Dope Girl will pop in with the diffuser and begin to get it down. Not sure what the intel lies on the side of the defense, but it looks like it will go down successfully. And that it will indeed. Maddie will down one more onto site, so it's a 2v2 effective. But no, the Kaid will be downed as well, so it is a 2v1. All up to Maddie. She will have to find everybody. She'll find one more, and it is now a 1v1 scenario. Can she find the last one? Maddie going huge right now for Powerhouse. Dope Girl waiting, holding an angle. Maddie will do the smart thing and decide that there is enough time to pick up her teammate. They know where the diffuser is. They know that the attacker must be nearby, but where? Could it be out the door? Every other angle check. The defuse will begin. Dope Girl, she'll find one, pulling the diffuser off, and she'll find the clutch 1v2 to finish it up and bring DG back into the match. 1-2.
That was kind of a game of throws toward the end there, because there was someone on Disrupt who was on the floor bleeding out, who watched. I already forgot. Is it Matt? No, it was Maddie. Who watched Maddie?
Yeah, Maddie Elizabeth.
Walk past her, and apparently didn't call it out because the IQ was facing the exact opposite direction and just got shot in the back and died. So that I'm really wondering where that communication was, because when you're downed, you can still look around and you can still be that call out. You're almost like a camera who also can hear things. But it's really interesting that that wasn't called out, and that's honestly a big misplay, because it was, I don't want to call it simple, but it is kind of a it is a bit of a basic mistake. And then on the other hand, when Powerhouse was going forward to try to stop the diffuser, there wasn't really a need to peek around the corner so aggressively, and she just got shot in the face for it. So I think they could have played that one back a little bit more, have the diffuser start getting destroyed, and play it a little bit safer, wait for the attacker to peek around the corner before going for that sort of shot. And if you are going for an aggressive peek, probably don't crouch while you're doing it, because it makes you peek a lot more slowly, and it sort of throws away the advantage of peeker's advantage that you have.
That it does. But the damage is not enough to stop Disrupt from finishing that up. Thankfully, off the back of Dope Girl, able to win it out and bring them back into this game. I mean, a horrible start for them. So to come back this early on, to not have to take as much time to recoup, is going to be huge here for Disrupt. Still 2v1, or still 2-2-1. Powerhouse still in the lead, and we got the Rome duo back, Lissa and Maddie upstairs yet again, but this time a lot of intel being brought out on the side of Disrupt. They're being droned out. Here comes a very aggressive peek around the corner, and Maddox not ready for it, and that will be Lissa picking up the first kill of the round for Powerhouse, and the Rome game seemingly that much stronger, taking the sledge, all of that soft destruction capability in a map which is mostly destructible, off the board here early.
A good roam duo is something that you always love to see in Siege, because they can back each other up really well. Although, as I say that, where's the backup for Lissa? She actually just got caught out. Maddie has already been rotating downstairs, nothing able to trade that kill off. So unfortunately, a bit of an abandonment of her teammate there. But for that first bit, they did manage to get a good pick off of really good duo play. One person baiting for the other and making sure they call out the information, get the pings out, and that allows them to know exactly when to peek. But Doja Wolf actually takes out little Sebastian, and that will be the attackers in the driver's seat once again, and they still have their gridlock alive too. And that's going to be incredibly strong to cut off the rotations. Like I keep mentioning on this map, it is just super strong to have either her or a Nomad, because these corridors are so thin.
Yep. We'll see some of the tracks from Gridlock be brought out. And Maddie Elizabeth probably, I'm not sure if when she was making that rotate back to site, she was as weak as she is now, but we're talking about 2 health maybe, as you could barely see the white on her overlay there. Here comes the rest of the attacking squad to start getting some of this hard destruction taken care of. EMP is being thrown out. So here at ADS, pick up a grenade of some sort, but the wall will successfully get open. Maddie Elizabeth, a sneeze away from death, will hold a close angle on the door. We also have the gridlock holding an angle on the same door as well, but the time ticks away. Still enough time for the attackers to try and find a pick, and Maddie with a beautiful time peek will find Fryqui. It is so important, it is so effective, or good for your team rather, if you have somebody with that low health. And I'm not sure if Millionaire saw the foot there, so maybe a little bit of a botched drone work here. We'll have to wait and see, but Doja Wolf will find never. And so now it is a 2v3. Maddie with 2 health finds 2 kills. Are you kidding me? It is a 2v2. The diffuser is going down though. Doja Wolf covering the plant, doing her job, but she will get dropped by Maddie Elizabeth. And Maddie Elizabeth comes around the corner, sees the last person, but runs out of bullets. Oh no! But thankfully, Lady Dragonslayer there to finish it off, and Maddie Elizabeth with 3 health goes on an absolute tirade. Only the empty clip able to stop her, and Powerhouse will win that round once again in the lead, 3-1.
The biggest problem right now I see with Disrupt is their communication. There are plenty of times where they just didn't really seem to make the proper callouts to each other. I already mentioned the one a couple rounds ago, but in this round, nobody was aware of Maddie's positioning, and that when she gets a kill, stays in the same spot, and then gets another kill, and the second kill wasn't even trying to challenge her, they were just facing a different direction, that is just pretty much indicative of poor communication. And that's definitely something I want to see Disrupt improve on, because they absolutely have the gun skill. We all know that. And they also know how to use their utility. They just haven't been bringing the communication this time around. And again, I have unfortunately been really busy with moving and everything, so I haven't been able to watch many of the matches, but I feel like it's probably not something that they've been struggling with that much over the rest of the season, because they are in second place.
Well, you know, like I said earlier, I think that for Disrupt, Maddox has been such an overwhelming force of destruction. For Disrupt, we really haven't seen, you know, like a very... I'm trying to think of a way to say this. Like, we haven't seen, like, I don't want to say that we haven't seen the rest of the team do anything, because that's not the truth at all. But we haven't seen, like, other teammates maybe in, like, flex or support roles be forced to frag out. And Maddox has been getting taken off the board pretty early in these scenarios by these roamers. And of course, she's the entry fragger, so she's the first to engage. So it's not atypical that if the attacking squad is going to lose the fight, it's going to be your entry fragger that's losing it, right? They're not Disrupt Gaming is not to the point to where they're like getting shot in the back or anything like that. They're getting the intel, they're taking the engagements, and they're just coming out of the other side, the losers of said engagements. And that time, you know, whatever engagement that Maddie got into right off the bat took her down to almost no health. But to let somebody that low in health be that effective, I mean, almost dropped a 4K post being brought down to 3 health is a huge mistake on the part of Disrupt.
So Maddox seeing someone cross her line of sight, but unable to get the frag on it. It is a very tight angle that she is holding there.
Tight angle.
It is tight angle. I don't know how many people can see it, but Ty actually changed his Discord name to Ty Strangles for the Halloween.
It's a spooky name.
Very spooky. He's even got skulls next to it too. But Lady
That makes it
Dragonslayer
legit.
Actually, she peeked around the corner, like challenging Fate a couple times, and almost got her legs shot. But so far, I think she was mostly just testing to see if Maddox was still holding that angle up there, and she was. So not much is going to be happening on either side of the field right now. As 1 minute's off of the board, the attackers do have a decent amount of map control, as they've attacked all the way through the game room. And so the difficult part for the attackers here is definitely getting through this set of 2 doors at the end of 90 hallway.
Yep, so a little bit of goo mine friction coming out from the Nomad as she works her way down the hallway there. Lysa, with the drone hijacked by the Pest, will start pointing out the location of the attackers as they push onto the site. And we'll see that site begin to get ripped open into by this attacking squad. We'll see 4 of the defenders on site ready to take it down. I'm not sure where that last roamer is, though, currently. He's taking some sort of a long rotate. And there we go. We see Jaeger kind of far away downstairs, waiting for that late rotation. That's Maddie, who's been having a lot of success thus far here on Villa. Powerhouse up 3-1 off the back of her 10 kills. That's over a 2.0 kill per round number. But it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, the attackers now pushing in towards A. They got the yokai on site. They've got some line of sight over towards that area, but nobody physically from the defense on the A site to stop it. Lady Dragonslayer hearing something around the corner, peeks around, and just misses somebody hanging out. It looks like the Thatcher on the outside of the bomb site, and here comes the defuse going down right now. Here comes the C4. It will miss its target, but the yokai not able to stop it either. The Mozzie will go down, but 2 on the side of the attacking. Make that 3 go down. Flurry skills coming out all over the place, and we'll see 2 from the blue squad come up. So now it's a 2v2 post-plant scenario. Doja Wolf will finish one off and is now up to never. She'll find one. It is a 1v1. She knows where the diffuser is. Doja Wolf hanging a tight angle from the corner. Never. No yokais at her disposal. Will switch weapons at the wrong time, and Doja easy cleanup for her and DG. A great attack into the side. It seemed not to go well for them at the beginning, but they were able to chain several kills together and, more importantly, get that diffuser down. And Disrupt will bring it back 3-2 now.
So one thing, I don't know if I'm ready to say it's the MVP of that round, but one thing I definitely want to point out as a boon to the side of Disrupt was the Nomad charge that actually went off all the way in the back near the game room stairs. And the reason I want to shout that out is because Maddie, like Ty was mentioning, was going for a very long, very late flank all the way on the other side of the map, but triggered a Nomad air jab. And what that did was it did 2 things. It first let Disrupt know that someone was going for a long, late flank, which is huge because then you know, all right, we just need to have one person posted back here holding an angle, making sure they watch for this roamer because they know it's there. And second, it means that Maddie has to back off, because you can't get hit by an air jab and then keep going because obviously someone on the attacker side is going to be watching that angle. So it's sort of twofold there. And as Ty mentioned once again, Maddie has been playing super well this game so far. So that piece of utility effectively shut her down for another 30 seconds or so. And by the time she actually managed to get back to site, the plant was already down, the offense was already dug in, and it was just so hard to retake.
Yeah, one of the, and Lady Dragonslayer will take a lot of damage. It seemed pretty far for that much damage to happen from the impact, but unfortunate for her. I'm not sure what the yokai drone, like why that wasn't in play. I'm not sure if the IQ got both of them. I remember earlier on, I don't think it was that round, we saw the yokai drone kind of outside of sight, at least one of them, looking for a little bit of intel, and the IQ took that one out. That round, I just don't know if the Echo was dealing with somebody pushing from a different direction or just wasn't in position. They didn't know that the diffuser was going down. Either way, that would have changed things a lot in the favor of Powerhouse. But what's done is done. Disrupt will take that round away. And here we go into round number 6. And I will say, just to mention one more tidbit from the prior round, that there were 10 people left alive until there were 13 seconds left on the clock. So the first kill of that round came out when there was only 13 seconds left in the round. So a flurry of kills at the end of that one. Kind of a tongue twister trying to keep up with all of it, but hey, I do my best. And here we go, a minute off the board into round number 6, as it looks like we had a disconnection that I missed.
Yeah, the Strike Queen unfortunately disconnecting, and it was like 46 seconds into the round too. So again, I'm not exactly sure how much time it can be before a retake.
It's either 30 or 45 seconds, but either way, like, there's no way you can rehost at that point.
Seconds, yeah. It was unfortunately 1 second too late. So very unfortunate timing there for the side of Disrupt and Powerhouse. Let's see if they can take advantage of it. Being handed a free 4v5 is a good situation. And it looks like the attackers are going to start to push in, but Maddie already on site, ready to get the first frag of the round, pushes forward really aggressively. Didn't expect Doja Wolf to be right there ready to refrag. And so she'll trade her life away for almost nothing.
Yeah, she'll try and
the first kill anyway.
Yeah, she'll try and get out of the sight line of the thermite going off next to her, and runs right into the waiting arms of, I believe that was Dope Girl. Or it could have been Doja. No, it was Doja. So good on her for covering that angle. And she actually has full control of A right now. So very unexpected for the defense. I'm just not sure where the diffuser is currently, as the diffuser could be getting planted, theoretically, as there's no yokai to stop it on the side of Powerhouse, seeing as that there's somebody from the attacking squad. And A, when it is a 3v4, the time ticks away. And just, of course, as soon as I say that, here comes a diffuser going down by Dope Girl. Nobody from the defense close enough to make anything happen, and it looks like it will go down successfully, and that's exactly what will happen. So now we have a retake scenario as Powerhouse kind of stalled on defense, might not have heard the defuse going down, or just didn't want to push it without having a little bit more intel. Either way, now Disrupt Gaming, although they have a disadvantage as far as man count, or woman count in this case, they're in a very good position. We'll see a trade on either side. Doja and Lady Dragon Slayer picking up one, but Lil Sebastian will find one. Doja will find her triple, her third of the round. And it is just her. She will have to find an ace in order to win it out. She'll find one. That's a quad for her. Only one more left to find, and she'll do it right in the face of Maddox. Doja Wolf with the ace, the third total for North American CCS R6W. And the only other person to have that, a teammate of hers.
So that was, unfortunately, a bit of an ouch round for Powerhouse. For a couple of reasons. I'm going to start with the end because it's fresh in all of our minds, but we saw 3 people die from the same angle. And I was talking about Disrupt having poor communication in terms of calling out where they died from, or being downed and not calling out from there. This time, Powerhouse did that exact same thing. 2 people died from the exact same angle. There was a castle barricade there that wasn't taken down, so she had absolutely nowhere to go, completely pinned in that corner. And the final remaining member of Powerhouse was looking across the way toward Trophy. So really lacking the callouts there, so poor communication on the side of Powerhouse, unfortunately. And the other thing is that I think Powerhouse played the earlier part of that round a little bit too passively, because when Disrupt gets control over A site, and even if they don't start planting, if they spend 30 seconds in control of A site, you know that they're going to go for an A site plant. They're just waiting for the diffuser to get there. So I would have wanted to see Powerhouse try to do something with that. It wasn't until the diffuser actually went down that we saw people from Trophy actually start to rotate around toward 90 hallway and try to flank around the back of Trophy. But by then, the attackers were already dug in, they already had the plant down, and they could just watch angles. So if you're in that sort of situation, you kind of have to think through the game sense and make sure that you can basically prevent the attackers from setting up.
Powerhouse Mischief, a phenomenal, flawless, two in a row, flawless round start to this match. Up 3-1 at one point. We talked pre-game. What would happen if Maddox wasn't just going and destroying everybody on the other team? Can the rest of Disrupt Gaming handle it? The answer is a resounding yes. You see the third ace of the entire season for any of these teams. All 3 claimed by the team Disrupt Gaming, but by a different person this time. And the rest of Disrupt Gaming has done just that. Stepped up, filled in the gaps, and brought this sucker back. We're now tied, but the half is done, and Maddie Elizabeth, she'll kick things off on attack. She's had a strong game all game long with the grenade kill onto the castle. From a utility perspective, not that much of a loss. But it's never fun to lose somebody in the first minute of the game, utility or not.
Especially when that player is Maddox, who we know is quite the fragger on the side of Disrupt Gaming. And one of the questions that Ty posed at the beginning of this round, of this match, was, can Disrupt step up if Maddox dies? Because she's been definitely the hero of the team, not to say the rest of the team hasn't been doing anything, but it was definitely sort of like she was the star player. And now we have to see how they get along with Maddox being taken out at the very start of the round. Now, one thing I want to mention as well on the defense, since we have swapped sides and we're on Disrupt's defense, is that they actually opened up the wall between Trophy and Master Bedroom. Very interesting decision. I'm trying to think through the strategic merits of it, and I think for the most part, it just makes it easier to retake if the attackers manage to get into A site. And so I think that's sort of what Disrupt are planning. Maybe they're not going to put so many resources on holding A, because they figure that they might be able to, statuary, they might be able to retake statuary if anything were to happen. So that's the most I can think of there.
Yeah, little Sebastian, she'll find one at a Fry Queen. Now the 3v4. Doja will kick things off, trying to bring things back, finding Lady Dragon Slayer and the Zofia, taking her off the board. 31 seconds left. Dope Girl, she'll find one as well onto little Sebastian, but Lissa, it's really Lissa. We'll find one back, and Never will find one of her own, and now it's still, just like it was a few moments ago, a 2-operator discrepancy between the teams. Doja Wolf, we've seen her tear things up, but she will not do it this time. Lissa, her second kill of the round, and Powerhouse strike first on the second half of Villa.
On the bright side, since she changed her name in game, it's harder to blame you.
It really is.
For saying Lysa.
It really is. Nobody should be blaming me ever for that, right? Especially like when you're in the moment. Like when we had that, just a few rounds ago, the first kill came with 13 seconds left, right? So 9 kills in 13 seconds. Like I can't read all those names. So sometimes I have to be on autopilot, right? I can't make those executive decisions like, oh, I know it's spelled Lysa, but her name's really Lissa. I just have to read the kill feed. Yep. So, you know, it happens.
Yeah, I definitely feel that as well. But definitely a good start to the second half, as Powerhouse managed to take their first attacking win, and so they are pulling things back in their favor, and we're going to see a Lion this time around. So definitely we're past the heyday of Lion being that operator that completely shuts down a game and skyrockets the attacker's win rate. But Lion is still a very powerful op, still makes people stand still, and
you don't miss you don't miss the Lion 5-speed blitz combo.
Oh God,
that's giving Azaraki like flashbacks.
Yeah, people running just like Lion
PTSD
Blitz, Jackal every game. That was not a fun time.
And then Doke with the logic bomb, Lion Blitz, Jackal, logic bomb. Oh my gosh, those were dark times for Rainbow Six. Dark times.
You just kind of like you gave up.
Yep.
But yeah, it's definitely much more difficult now, and I like the direction they were going with Lion rework, making it last a lot less time, because it does put more emphasis on teamwork. So a lot of times I've actually seen less experienced teams, when they run a Lion, they decide to pop the EE1D, and then they don't actually get any map control with it. They just sort of use it to poke around and try to catch someone out, I guess. But what you really want to use it for is to let you gain map control. Because if you're forcing people to stand still, that's the perfect time for you to rush in, get some frags, make sure that they can't rotate out, and secure a very important room for your team. And so that's what I want to see more of as we continue seeing this Lion post-rework.
Yep. Very, very different Lion than we saw at the very beginning, you know. Where if you stop, it stops pinging, and the overall time reduced quite a bit. But still, when you're pushing and you get down to these situations, and I'll bring it up again, you know, with that 13-second deal with 10 people left alive, I mean, with that sort of a scenario, Lion becomes very powerful, but it's very situational. You know what I mean? So Maddox, she will get droned out, relocate, hanging out on site. Very atypical. Usually we see Maddox kind of on the roam, not having the best game, maybe a little bit of reservations from her to try and overextend herself. Maddie Elizabeth, we'll see a drone get shot out from underneath. Got 2 teammates there to help her. See the door get open nearby as well. So the action getting very close to happening as these 2 teams get closer and closer together. Maddox will do a pre-fire peek out, but not see anybody. And now the Lion going off will freeze her in place momentarily, and that's all it takes for Maddie Elizabeth to find her and take her down. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you use a Lion, nerfed or not. Getting your entry fragger to go in and make the shots happen, and Fry Queen just missing her opportunity to get the shots, but she'll go with the C4, but not connect. Somebody will rotate off the spot just in time. Lion number 2 comes out, and Maddie Elizabeth clinches on it again, finding the head of Doja Wolf. Lion goes off, and Maddie gets a kill, but Fry Queen from underneath with the shotgun will find one of her own, so it is now a 2v3. A lot of weak members of both of these teams. The Sledge, the weakest of them all, and we'll see the Yokai stop the plant. We'll switch over to the ACOG, as that perhaps was the second shot from the Yokai. Be forced to retire from trying that out. Little Sebastian running around trying to find somebody, trying to find an angle somewhere. Fry Cream with the SMG-11. A little bit of recoil control issue. Will not find one or nor do any bit of damage, but it is a 2v2. No, yes, as Maddox will go down to the ground, or Maddie, rather. Lissa will find one onto Fry Queen, and it is only Dope Girl to try and win this out for Disrupt in a 1v2. Maddox still, or Maddie still not being picked up. She'll find one. That's Maddie, the down player, getting finished off, but almost 2/3 of the diffuser time ticks away. She's going to have to go after it, and Lissa lying down on the other side of the site. Easy cleanup for her with the multi-kill on the round, and Powerhouse will win their first 2 attacks.
Powerhouse had a really good defensive setup after the defuse went down, because so long as Powerhouse, I already forgot who was left alive, but the only choice, well, they had a couple of choices. They could have gone through bathroom, or they could have gone right into statuary. And if you go right into statuary in that situation, there's pretty much no way you can win that, because you have the Echo lying down in the corner, and even if you kill him, there is still someone else waiting in master bedroom to peek around the corner as soon as shots are fired. So honestly, that's a situation where you want to just go around through bathroom, make that decision a little bit earlier so you have more time to work with. But at least then, even if you make so much noise that they see you coming, you're not going to be stepping into a crossfire. Of course, given that we are spectators, we have the all-seeing eye. We can see silhouettes through walls. And
We
so
can?
have perfect information. Oh yeah, we can.
Oh, that's handy.
It is sort of like a hindsight's 20/20 matter in that sense, because they don't have that information knowing that there was a crossfire there.
True indeed. So Disrupt, gotta find something to make that work. Although that was a close match, they just couldn't close it in the end. Disrupt kind of, the last time too in a 1vx situation had to pull out the ace to win. They did it, and good on them. But the refrags scenario here for Disrupt is just not where it needs to be. So when you come down to the end, to those crunch times, in that case a retake scenario, it's a little bit more manageable, and you're not having to rely on somebody going massive, right? But that's besides the fact. Really, there's still a lot of opportunity for them to come back. They were down by 2 several times in this match. They were down 3-1. They were able to bring it back. Now they're down 3-5. I do very much believe they have the ability to bring it back once again. So this has been a great game. A game that, if you look at the rankings again, we probably weren't expecting. But I think a game that we were all delighted to see has been such a great one so far.
Yeah, I definitely didn't expect this. Powerhouse being up 5-3, especially with the way the scoreboard's been working out. But hey, Ty warned me. Ty was like, hey, Powerhouse, they've been rocking it these past couple weeks.
Listen, if you're in second place, and you're going up against Powerhouse, you should be scared.
Yeah, apparently. The second place killers. Unfortunately, no one's been able to take out Artemis yet, so we'll see if there's any team that'll be able to do it. I wonder, I'm actually going to check if Powerhouse has already faced them, or if they have yet to face Artemis, because that would be a very interesting match.
Yeah, it would. It would. And that just shows you the caliber of the teams that we're dealing with, that we're talking about. Like, we want to see Powerhouse, number 10 Powerhouse, take on number 1 Artemis.
Yeah.
Like, that's how crazy these games get. Are you not entertained out there? Because I know I certainly am. But here we go. Round number 9 fully underway. Almost 2 minutes off the board. We have the Zovia pushing up against the outer echelon of the site. Team spread out a little bit. We got the roaming Doc Maddox trying to find something. Not able to get really anything put together like we've seen from her in the past. Struggling a little bit. Could be the new map, though. Remember, this is the first time we've seen Villa anywhere. And all of CCS R6WNA this season, so no intel and a little bit of uncomfortable, perhaps, from these teams. And Maddox, she'll get the opening kill onto Maddie Elizabeth. A huge kill for her. We'll get actually some bullets put back down onto her, but not finished off, and she will have the opportunity to heal herself back up, and she will do just that. We'll see the second line pulse of the round come out. Lady Dragon Slayer turning around the corner, trying to find, where did that Doc go? He's big and loud, but they have lost him somehow. 5v4, only 30 seconds left, and now it is looking really good for Disrupt to close this thing out. And of course, as soon as I say that, Chameleonaire will find Never take her down to the ground, so it's looking better and better by the second for Disrupt. A little bit of a stall out here from the attackers, as it looks like they are pretty spread at the moment. Peek around the corner will not prove fruitful. Maddox will shut it down. Lissa, gosh, I keep doing that with the refrag. I'm just going to go with Lissa, okay? It's just too difficult. Come back with the refrag. She'll pick up the diffuser. Only 5 seconds left to play. In a 1. Actually, it is a 2v4, but she is solo. Make that... it is a 4v1, and she's just nothing you can do at that point. No way to get into sight and get that down. And Chameleonaire with the multi-kill on the round will ensure that victory for Disrupt Gaming in the closing seconds. And so now only a 1-round discrepancy here between the two teams heading into round number 10.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to point out about that round was the fact that Disrupt actually left the vault wall unreinforced. And in hindsight, it looked like, to us, it looks like they were actually baiting that.
Yeah, it provided an escape route for the Doc.
Yeah. So the Doc was able, as soon as he heard the sledge go for it, Doc peeked around the corner, got a free kill. And then he backed off and then started to play around that too. With an ACOG, you can actually challenge out through the window from vault whenever you're playing that sort of angle. So it was a gamble, and it definitely worked out in their favor as Powerhouse kind of played into their hands for that one. However, they're not going to be able to do a similar strat again, since they are forced to move to a different bomb site, and it's going to be Statuary Trophy. No surprises here. Either first or second most viable site on this map, depending on who you ask. But either way, we are going to see a Mozzie brought here, as well as a Pulse. So a couple of different ops, which are pretty fun to see. And I'm actually surprised that we haven't seen as much Pulse, considering, I already mentioned it, but every bit of floor here, except for ones blocked by stairs, between the first and second floor, are destructible. And so that means...
And rugs, right? And rugs.
And rugs.
Yes, indeed. So, Chameleonaire on the Pulse, an interesting change. And I like that Disrupt Gaming, although they're behind, and they're not far behind, right? But despite being behind, that they're willing to kind of change things up here and pull out some new operators to, even 10 rounds deep into the match, still catch Powerhouse off guard. And that's what they'll do. So, round gets underway, and Powerhouse will begin entering the building. We got Fry Queen underneath, opening up some sight lines. Actually, it looks like we got several underneath. It looks like only one is actually on site right now, and that will be the Mozzie. So some sight lines getting opened up, and it looks like a heavy defensive attempt from underneath to try and stop the plant. We'll see if that holds true later on in the round, or if that's for a late rotation. Look back up through the floor strategy later on. Still, anything goes, but oh no, Lady Dragonslayer will find Chameleonaire on that Pulse from around the corner, take absolutely no damage in the process. We'll see somebody else get pinged out, throw some shots down through the doorway, try to catch up, but no, the other roamer, Fry Queen, will hightail it out of there with the little bit of grease lightning behind her, just trying to find some safety back down in the cellar.
Yeah, it is unfortunate to lose your Pulse that early in the round too, because if Pulse can stay alive for when the attackers decide to start planting, it can be huge, because obviously they're going to be standing still while they're planting. Perfect time for a Nitro Cell to come out, but the Pulse died before he could even use the Nitro Cell, so definitely not the best start to the side of Disrupt. Powerhouse, however, are going to be favoring that, and they still have 1 minute and 15 seconds left to work with. They've cleared out most of the bottom floor, and they've definitely flushed Little Sebastian out of the bottom floor. She's going to be able to come back up at some... Or sorry, not Little Sebastian, Fry Queen out from the bottom floor. She's going to be able to come back up at some point, but it does give the attackers some extra space, and it means they don't have to worry about yet another Nitro Cell.
Right, so Powerhouse, still 5 people left on the board, but the time is ticking away, and Disrupt has a lot of players that have already gone off huge this game individually left on the board, so probably a lot of spirit on their side. We talked about it in the past, that every second that ticks away becomes a second that it is now more in the favor of the defense, as the attackers will kind of have to move into sight blind, allowing more refrag potential. That being said, a very aggressive peek from Lysa will end in the death of her at the hands of Maddox and her Doc ACOG, doing a lot of work here, as there's only now 15 seconds to work with. It is a 4v4. Fry Queen will kick things off in what I expect to be a flurry of kills. Little Sebastian going down to the ground, and no, it seems the attack is still stalled out. Lady Dragonslayer trying to find something, still having to deal with barbed wire, being forced to push in. Dope Girl, she'll find 2. Lady Dragonslayer having to push the same angle will find Maddox, but then it'll be too late. Not enough time to get onto site and get it on, or get the diffuser down, or attempt to find any more kills. And Disrupt Gaming, just like that, will tie things up late into this Villa match.
sort of one of those situations where you definitely want to have some strats prepared, some defaults. Because one thing I noticed there about Powerhouse's attack, especially later on in the round, is that they barely, if any, if at all, used their utility. We saw 2 concussion grenades left on Zofia. We saw 2 frag grenades left. There were so many tools left on Powerhouse's side that they didn't utilize, and instead they peeked around the corner one by one, or they held themselves back and didn't push fast enough, and then time started running out, and then they thought, oh, wow, we need to start going. If they used their utility sooner, they could have flushed out some defensive positions, they could have covered each other, but they just didn't do a lot of that, and that's one of those things that absolutely can improve with some preparation on the map. There's plenty of examples in a bunch of esports where certain strats you can dry run. You don't have to have enemies. You can just load into a custom game and say, okay, here's how we attack this. We have a couple people throw flashbangs here, we'll push in through here, make sure these people go first, and you can get those timings down. And attacking in one of those situations is one that would benefit from it.
Yes, so let's talk about what's happened so far. We started out 1-1, I believe. Am I correct in that assumption, right? We started out 1-1? Since then...
I think it was 0-2.
I think it was 1-1. DJ, what do you say? What does our producer say? DJ? Oh, it was 0-2. Okay. I thought it was 1-1, and then it went 2-2, 2-2, back and forth. But it was pretty close to that. After Powerhouse was up 3-1 at one point, Disrupt won 2 in a row. Then Powerhouse won 2 in a row, bring it to 5-3, and now we're at 5-5 after Disrupt run 2 in a row. So still a lot of back and forth, a lot of the ability to chain a couple of rounds together by both of these teams that nobody's been able to pull ahead. Now, at 5-5, if one team is able to chain 2 rounds together, which both of these teams have showed the ability to do just that here in this matchup, it will be game over, 7-5. If they cannot, and the trend of a team winning 2 in a row changes, we could see an overtime 6-6. It'll be a 3-round overtime, roll swap of every singular round. So you'll go defense, offense, defense, or the opposite. Little Sebastian will find somebody creeping through a rotate hole near the site as Powerhouse makes their way onto the building. And it looks like they're moving a little bit faster this time, but we'll have 3 roamers from Disrupt Gaming upstairs to try and stop them this time around.
It's always satisfying when the observer cuts over to Mozzie and you immediately see that reload animation for the commando. Just something so satisfying about that. But with 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the clock, the attackers have made a little bit of ground, but definitely not as much as they want. Keep in mind that this is a first floor defensive site, so the attackers want to have control of the second floor as soon as possible. And with 1 minute left on the clock, it's definitely much later than they want. Lissa, however, will get the first shot, headshot onto Chameleonaire. There are a couple more defenders up top. We'll see if any of them can get a refrag or if they're just going to be cleaned out. Honestly, they just need to buy time at the very least, and Doja Wolf will do just that and rotate back down to site as soon as possible. And now we have all the defenders back on site. So 1 minute left. Again, not as much time as you would want to get this much map control, but it is absolutely better than nothing, and they can start playing the vertical game.
Yep, a lot of the attackers stacked up now, and kind of time management has been one of Powerhouse's most difficult tasks on attack. I mean, they won the first couple of attacks very swiftly, but have since found a lot of struggle as Disrupt has made some changes that have slowed them down and have not been able to get on site. And here we are, 9 people left, 20 seconds left. Powerhouse, although being a person up, are still going to have to make a play in a very expedient manner, and that might make them pay. And oh no, the shot's missed by Lady Dragonslayer, but Lissa and Little Sebastian finding one each. Dope Girl and Doja will find one. Doja, she'll find 2, but Maddie will find one onto Maddox, and a flurry of kills, just like we expected in the closing seconds, will find Powerhouse up a person. Doja, though, will find and stop that, and now force it a diffuse animation. Doja with the multi-kill on the round will clean up the rest of Powerhouse, and just like we said right before it happened, time management not playing into the favor of Powerhouse, and now Disrupt Gaming, not only are they taking their first lead of the game, but it's on match point.
It is on match point, so if they can win this next round, that's it. We don't even go to overtime, and I think everyone wants to see overtime between these two teams. This match has been great so far, and looking at the scoreboard, we can see Doja actually the one pulling out ahead for Disrupt, so it's not the Maddox show, but Doja has been stepping up quite a bit, and especially in that last round. I think she got 3 kills, if I'm not mistaken, perhaps give or take 1, but absolutely clutch play by her toward the end of that. And like we've been mentioning, Powerhouse, unfortunately, been messing up their time management. Getting the second floor control with a minute left is not the place you want to be, because if you're on the second floor, you need time for your, in this case, sledge, but sometimes it's Buck. The Buck's banned, so in this case, it's sledge. You want time for your sledge to be able to open up the floors and root out the defenders. It's really hard for him to do that if he only has like 40 seconds to do so before they have to start forcing sight. And so, again, I just want to see Powerhouse speed it up a little bit, especially because in that round in particular, they didn't need to spend that much time getting the map control they did. They spent a minute and a half getting into the 90 hallway, and there was very minimal defensive pushback against it. So if they have the proper drone game and they can scout out the fact that the defenders aren't really putting emphasis in these locations, then they should be able to just blitz right through and get there with 2 minutes left on the clock.
So upstairs we go. Disrupt trying to close it out right here, right now. Powerhouse. This is kind of one of those sites where, because you take it from the balcony, you could get established right outside of the site a little bit quicker, work your way towards 90, and you don't have to fight through a lot in order to get there. Community are playing these red stairs, and this is a very powerful position. We've seen a lot of defensive stance happen from the top of these stairs, and very successfully. It looks like a few of those attackers will take from the other side, and they'll actually begin to get a lot of progress over towards side. We'll have Chameleonaire peek down, perhaps hearing something, dropping all the way down to the bottom of red, and now actually a little bit of control established for this attacking squad right now. Have a couple of people on site. Little Sebastian going, clearing out some of those ADSs and other utility found around the site will finally get destroyed by the castle there in the vault. Now, again, what's going to be crucial is, can Powerhouse make enough progress towards the site to where they're not forced into a situation where, if it's a 1v1 situation at the end, that last person is stuck in a plant animation, because it's an auto loss for you if that is the case. But still a lot left to be played as the attack seems to slow down a little bit. They didn't waste much time. Again, we'll see that vault wall soft, and that will get opened by Lady Dragon Slayer opening it up. We'll have somebody, Maddie Elizabeth, for example, peek that. Somebody who's been able to win those peak gunfights very consistently. We'll see the first Toxic Babe go out as well to try and slow them down a little bit further, but the attackers are making moves, progressing on the site. Still 10 alive, 5 on each side, as there is now 1 minute left.
And again, I want to see more utility usage on the side of Powerhouse. You have all these great tools, you have more frag grenades, and Fry Queen actually gets a headshot onto Lady Dragon Slayer from the prone position. And so that is a huge push, or a huge pick, as now they've cleared out Vault. And as you can see on the map, pretty much everyone on Powerhouse is sort of brute forcing, trying to go in through here. Maddie Elizabeth gets 1 kill. Looks like Lissa is going to get another one, and Sebastian with a Claymore as well. That leaves us with a 2v4. As the defense is starting to fall apart, Sebastian gets headshot. And now the defuser starts going down in a 1v5. Doja Wolf, she's been the one who's been showing up, but is not going to show up again, as the F2 is going to take her out with a headshot. Sebastian, the one showing up this round.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of Powerhouse, and look, Powerhouse, we've seen them be very, very successful. I mean, we're tied up 6-6. Here we go, round number 1 of overtime. When time, on the attack specifically for Powerhouse, when time isn't a factor, right? They have the ability to go in and just rip them apart, rip Disrupt apart. When Disrupt has been able to keep Powerhouse from getting in a reasonable amount of time, they're able to rip Powerhouse apart. That time around, Powerhouse, plenty of map control, plenty of time to work with, and so it played into their hands. But here we go, overtime. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see this go all 15 rounds. We're going to see 14 for sure, but if we didn't see all 15 rounds, I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, this has been a very back-and-forth game, and both teams have been showing signs of life on both attack and defense either. So it's not just one of those situations where the defense always wins or the attack always wins. So it's always nice to see that part of the game being pretty even too. But it looks like Disrupt, even though they're going to the same side, they're actually going to switch up the strategy. That sort of staple that we saw from them leaving the vault reinforced open is not going to happen this time around, as it gets reinforced this time, and that is going to force out a lot more hard breach utility from the side of Powerhouse. On the bright side, this specific site, if you're attacking it, you don't really need a lot of hard breach. You basically just need to get that vault door open, and then from there, your second exothermic charge can kind of go anywhere or even nowhere. You're already opening up so many different angles just by getting vault open. So we'll see where they decide to place the second one. Doesn't look like... Actually, we will have 2 people able to, maybe even 3 if Smoke takes it, able to impact trick, potentially. But it doesn't look like the wall is set up for an impact trick.
Well, not yet. Not yet,
yeah. We could still see it. But I think that would be a very strong strategy.
So I like this setup here. I talked about the top of these mid stairs here. With the shield, it's a very powerful play. You got to put somebody who's really can win, because you're going to get, in a lot of circumstances, a lot of utility thrown at you, a lot dedicated to getting you out of that spot. And so having somebody who can work their way around that, which is no easy task for anybody, is very important in order to have that effectiveness of those stairs in play. And of course, we're seeing, I believe, Doja playing that spot. And so she's had a great game so far, so that is certainly somebody that I would entrust to do such a thing. Maddox finding a drone, will get hit once by the Twitch drone, not able to actually take it out either. And now Maddie Elizabeth set up, ready to try and contest her, but pulls away, pulls out a grenade at the wrong time. Maddox taking all of her health down except for about 5. As I believe there's 2 people holding that angle. And Maddie Elizabeth holding an angle on stairs will take down Chameleonaire as she finds Lady Dragon Slayer. So about a split second would have actually saved the Zofia. And there is actually the Twitch drone downing Maddox on site. And they're scrambling to try and destroy it, and they will. It looks like they're going to try and get Maddox shocked, but there's somebody creeping around the corner. That's Lissa. She will actually decide not to overextend, as there's a lot of site angles from the B-bomb site, or the A-bomb site, rather, looking in. So she will play it safe. She will lay down, and here comes the plant in the default spot. Very smart, very patient play here by Powerhouse. We'll see the smoke and the yokai, though, to try and counteract the plant, and that will drive Never out of that spot. Doja Wolf will find Lysa laying down on the floor, and now it looks like Disrupt Gaming taking control of this round. 45 seconds left, and just a battle we've seen here of not just guns, but strategy coming in. As now we have Maddox up with the shotgun, close range, able to utilize her smoke. She was almost down and out, but the clutch play from her teammate to get her back up has saved the diffuser from already being planted. We'll see that vault wall get opened up with the thermite charge. Maddox sees that Twitch drone that downed her earlier, in close range with the shotgun. Will find one, but little Sebastian will refrag her immediately. 10 seconds to work with, and it is a 2v2 as Never finds one as well. So the diffuser will start to get planted behind the safety of the impenetrable vault door. We'll have Fry Queen peek around, and where is her help? I don't see it. Easy kill onto Never. Little Sebastian, though, with the clutch, will find the last 2. And Powerhouse, after the most back-and-forth round we've seen yet here today, will pull it out and take the match point in overtime.
Oh, this is such a close match so far, and Disrupt, this is going to come down to the wire. I think we are going to see a full 15, because these matches, or these rounds, are still super close. Disrupt lost that by slim margins. If either of them had just flicked around a little bit and saw Twitch hiding behind the aviation, the model table. I don't know what they actually call those, but they're in like every war movie ever. It's like,
yeah,
the place. Someone will yell at me and tell me what it is at some point. But if one of them saw that,
model sounds fine to me.
Yeah, it would have been a very different round. There are so many things that could have changed. One thing that I think is in Powerhouse's benefit is the fact that they managed to, even late in the round, still get the vault door open, or the vault wall open. And that was pretty huge, because as we saw, pushing in through vault was the reason they managed to get the plant down. So again, I would have wanted to see some more emphasis on keeping that closed, maybe some impact tricking potential or something like that. But again, it was late in the round, so it's understandable that people's attention would have been drawn elsewhere.
So, Ted, if you don't mind, let me see. I want to take a look at the scoreboard one more time. While he's pulling that up, this game has been pure insanity, I believe, so far. For both of these sides. I mean, people have been stepping up. I think that Disrupt's had a little bit better of like a preconceived setup sort of situation. I think that they're kind of, and here we go. Let's look at that. And look at Powerhouse. Look at the kill spread there. DG, a little bit more discrepancy in the kills. Powerhouse is just dropping massive amounts of kills. Ridiculous. 3 people in double digits. But Disrupt Gaming, I think, has had like a very specific setup. Like they've really planned the setup here for Villa. Powerhouse definitely has some of that. And that they go with the setup. But I like that they go off script. And sorry, Maddox with the kill only 40 seconds into the round on the Lady Dragon Slayer. So huge. So early on. What a good start for Disrupt Gaming. But I like Powerhouse's ability to call audibles. I think they've been calling audibles really well. I think the major struggle that they've had so far is running out of time towards the end of the round. And Disrupt, it's so difficult to point it out. I think the mistakes that they made have been so little and maybe just kind of off camera that I couldn't even tell you what Disrupt would need to fix. Like, I'd hate to be in their IGL position because I don't know what adjustments I'd need to make in the rounds that they've lost. But Fry Queen from a prone position throws some bullets down the hallway, but instead will take all of the damage of that engagement. As we have 1:30 left, Powerhouse down an operator. That's the Legion, but Maddie Elizabeth will even things up, taking the Nomad out of play for Disrupt Gaming.
So we see massively differing attack strats from both of these teams, as already Disrupt putting so much emphasis on this balcony. And on the other hand, Powerhouse put almost no emphasis on it. Meanwhile, Lissa peeks around the corner, takes out Maddox. So already Powerhouse is looking like they want to close this out. They don't even want to give Disrupt the 15th round. C4 goes out. Lissa's not going to lose her head over it, but she's not going to get a kill either. But Dope Girl takes out Lissa, and Maddie Elizabeth takes out Doja Wolf as well. So we're down to a 2v3, make it a 1v3. This is Powerhouse's chance. They could take down another level 2 team, and they do it. Second place doesn't matter to Mischief, doesn't matter to Powerhouse. They're gonna take you down.
Powerhouse, Mischief, absolutely stellar showing from them. She won disconnected anger, perhaps. Right off the bat, Maddie Elizabeth. Give her that MVP. She sure as heck deserves it. What a stellar effort by Powerhouse Mischief. And a game that I think nobody is surprised. And let me just tell you right now, no second place team is safe from the wrath that is Powerhouse Mischief. So, well-fought game. Congratulations to them. What a fun game to watch, too, for even us. Like, I was just like, whoa, what's going on? It was a tremendous effort by both of those teams, and I can definitely understand the frustration in going into OT and losing. But Powerhouse, a couple of times they would take the lead and they'd lose the lead. And they'd take the lead and they'd lose the lead. And we were like, oh no, don't let it slip. And they didn't. They fought the entire way and disrupted too. But Powerhouse, in the end, got the better of them. So, Azaraki, what do you think?
Yeah, we thought we had that game pinned down a bunch of times. We thought, oh, here's Disrupt's problem. If they can fix this, they'll be back into it. Here's Powerhouse's problem. If they fix it, they'll take the win. But both of these teams actually adapted to each other quite a bit throughout the course of the match. And that's something I really like to see, and something that Siege is all about. So I really like seeing both of these teams change up their strat from game to game. They're not sticking with the exact same defenses. They're not sticking with the same sites, not sticking with the same attacks. Overall, both of them tried to keep each other on their toes, and Powerhouse just barely managed to eke it out.
Yeah. Well played for both of those teams. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one more matchup for you this evening. That would be Queen Yolomid taking on Axios Esports. That's coming up after a very short break, so make sure you stick around for the conclusion of week number 7, CCS R6W North America. We'll see you in just a bit.